Okay, so I'm a bit in the middle of nowhere. This is the only place that I could think of right now that had shade and that looked, I thought the setting was cute. At first I didn't think I would want to go out because I was like, oh, it's like 30 something degrees, but I'm really glad I did, and I could feel the wind, the breeze, and the nature. And being in Spain around summer really makes you think you have to stay inside all day, but I'm realizing it's not the case. I'm also wearing my dress the wrong way. I just realized, well, it's okay. Basically, I was thinking about how do you live in a daily life creating instead of just participating or consuming. And I feel like for many years I've been noticing a big difference between creator and participator consumer, and wanting to move from one to the other. And I've been recently feeling like there's a part of me shifting. There's something that wants change, and then there's a resistance. And I really think that the shift that I'm feeling is from being a consumer and being more in a, oh my, there's a butterfly, being more in a passive state than actually being in an active state and co-creating my life. And I feel like I've just been living in a very passive state for a very long time. So it's very unknown to suddenly realize that I have a choice and that I can create, and I have the time and privilege right now to even be realizing this and to consciously make this choice. And how it would feel like really wasted if I wouldn't make this choice, and if I would choose to stay where I am, because I have the freedom to make this choice. And I feel like I love the winds. I really hope that you can hear though the audio. And I feel like what's moving me towards making the choice of becoming an active creator of my life is just seeing that after a while, being passive, first of all, becomes really boring, and at the same time I feel like I'm always searching for something. Like when I'm consuming things, I always feel like I'm searching for a new feeling, searching and searching, and it's just this endless searching, and nothing really gives me a feeling of control or safety or anything. It's like always a searching, and every time I think I find something, but then it ends in just more searching. And I guess it comes to a point where I'm realizing it's not about searching more, it's about like just seeing what's there and then creating with that. And I don't think I've ever been more fulfilled than when I'm creating something. And it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It doesn't have to be a specific form of art like painting or music. It can be, and I've chosen music and it has been really fulfilling, but I've just felt like for a long time I felt really stuck in the journey with music. And I think it's because I still see myself more as of a consumer than a creator. And I don't think it's a negative thing to consume things, like to listen to music or watch movies or look at other people's art or read books. But I feel like the more and more and more information you consume, the more you actually get confused, because the information that you are taking in, you're not doing anything with it. And I feel like I've just been reading and listening and watching and seeing so many different things that at some point I'm thinking, okay, I have to create with this that I've acquired, like the information, the knowledge, and to keep consuming just keeps me in a state of like passiveness. And I don't know, I think that's the actual shift that I want to make. And realizing also what I do in my daily life, like what are my actual habits? Are they coming from a place where I like to be more passive, or am I choosing actually moments of creation, like active moments of creation, seeing this is what I desire in life and then taking a step towards it? And it doesn't have to be like a certain goal, I feel. I think it can just be a feeling, or maybe this just little image that you had in your head of, I would love to experience this, and then to kind of see how in reach is the thing that you want to experience. For example, I thought about going outside, connecting with nature. I also thought about singing, and then I was kind of searching for a place where I can be by myself, and inside there was no space, so I chose to go outside, and now I'm here. And I feel like by actively choosing to listen to that part of me that was like, hey, go outside and take a step, even though you think it's too hot, even though you think you might not find a place, even though, like, even if all those things in my head are like, oh, but now it's too hot, oh, I won't find a place to sit, maybe I should just stay here and go on my phone. And I realized this today after scrolling for a very long time on Instagram, how I'm always on this app searching and like consuming stuff that I'm not necessarily even wanting to consume. It just kind of pops up on my page, or it's just like there. And how it is actually making me feel really overwhelmed and completely depleted, that I don't really feel like creating anymore. And that all what I really need in my life is right here where I am. And I'm kind of like distracting myself from where I am and what is around me and what is within me and what is like in my power to create, than actually living like who I already am, and kind of constantly searching for who I want to be, looking at people's pictures and videos, and I don't think it's wrong to get inspired, but at some point it's like, how many times do you need to get inspired to actually start creating? And I don't think creating is necessarily, I think I've been viewing creating in a wrong way, not wrong, but in a way that is like, okay, I have to create this really big art piece and then showcase it to the world. But I think creating is much more simpler, where it is like creating little moments for yourself, creating a feeling, creating basically like taking control of your life and kind of creating it step by step, like choosing to have a nice little moment with yourself, to take yourself outside, to make yourself a cup of tea and read a, like, do things that are pleasurable for you, to choose, like, for example, I've realized, like, in relationships, I tend to feel really fulfilled when I'm with this person, and we automatically create really beautiful moments, and then when I'm alone, I don't necessarily feel this feeling, but I think it's possible that you can. By, like, what do you do in relationships? You make an effort to create beautiful moments. You go on dates and you spend time with each other. You are aware, you're present with each other, and this automatically creates really beautiful moments. And I feel like if you do exactly the same with yourself, then you can choose to kind of create these beautiful moments. And then the less you choose distraction and the less you choose this passive consumption that you're stuck in, you will automatically start creating more, because your mind is not full of information and you're not constantly overloaded with all the things that you're consuming. It's like system overload in a way. And I don't know, I just Like, I had a moment where I was really depleted after this Instagram doom scroll, and then I felt like, okay, I need to somehow reconnect with myself, and chose to have a really beautiful, pleasurable moment where I make myself a tea and meditate, and like whatever it can look like for anyone, you know. You can sing, you can dance, just go in nature, connect with another person, like real life experiences. And I tend to choose the habit of living in the online world when I wish that my life, the real life world, is different. So then I choose the online world because there I can like see all the things that I want. And then sometimes I just snap out of it and realize where I actually am. And that if I don't spend my time in now, it will soon pass me by. I'm not going to be in this place forever right now where I am. I have 8 months to be here in this little spot. No, in where I am right now. And there's so much that I haven't explored. Like, I'm seeing how much there is actually to explore in my everyday, day-to-day life. So many little corners of this place, so many new, just little experiences. And they can be really small and just leave me feeling fulfilled and leaving like, okay, I lived this day to the fullest that I can, you know, and discovered something new. I guess discovering something new is also something that really makes you feel alive, because you're like a child being like, wow, I didn't do this before, and then maybe I can do it again, and I like this spot and I'll come back here, you know. This looks like a microphone. So what I'm trying to say is basically about making the shift from consumer to creator. And I think that think about humanity and think about everyone making the shift, everyone choosing to create their life and be present with what's going on in them and outside of them, and like combining these two worlds, merging together, bringing what's on the inside outside, and you know, that exchange. I think it would be a really beautiful place where people feel fulfilled and where everyone's kind of discovering and contributing to the whole world, you know. And I think that we are taught to become consumers, because that is what's comfortable and that is what's easy and that is what brings the most profit, you know. Like, you need the people consuming. I'm getting some really good examples from the people here. There's this girl who makes her own cosmetics, and I've always wanted to make my own cosmetics, and then I always thought it was so difficult, and I always had the urge to do it, but you know, like when you want to do certain things and you just don't do it because in your head you overcomplicate it and you're just like, okay, this is too complicated. This is for some other time, you know. And to change seating position. And then this girl here makes her own cosmetics and sells it also. So I've been using her products and they're so good, and so like I know that they're natural. I know that there's no toxins in it, and it just feels so nice, like knowing the person who made them, knowing the hands who created this cream or facial spray, and then knowing that all these ingredients are from the surroundings where I am now, like knowing where they've been sourced, and then knowing that it's natural, and it's so beautiful. And I was like, okay, she learned this. Like, she didn't know this since she was born. Like, she had to learn how to do this. She had to try it out. Like, she created her own cosmetics, and that takes her away from being a consumer of cosmetic brands and being dependent and going to buy products. And I don't think there's anything wrong with buying products. I don't think you have to make everything yourself, but I'm kind of getting the example that it's possible here. Even like the people here, the way they live and the way they cultivate their own food as much as they can and create their own chocolate and like a bunch of cool things. And it's like, wow, I'm seeing what there's out there possible when you choose to explore and create, and you choose to learn, and you become more and more independent the more you create, and you become more and more confident because you are cultivating different abilities. And to believe that you have the power to choose and to create. And I think always when I consume for a very long time, whatever it is, I lose my spirit, because I read this beautiful quote that being in spirit, like inspired, the word comes from being in spirit. When you're inspired about something, your spirit lights up, and then you want to create something. Like every time you're inspired by someone, by something that you see, that you smell, that you feel, wherever the inspiration comes from, you want to go and create. Like I think that's the most human thing. Like we are beings, we are creators. We created this, for example, and like the way someone can create a flip-flop, or this is made out of grass, someone handmade this, or I don't know, in distress, and I'm gratefully using this. So if someone can create this, and someone can create this and this, then I can create things too. And of course it takes effort, and it takes, like, I read in a book recently, like, of course every habit will take a lot of strength from your mind, actually, to, like, you are kind of conditioned from your brain to function in, or like you automatically function in autopilot. So like the habits that you cultivate are your like go-to stuff, your go-to habits. I hope I'm explaining this right. And so when you cultivate new habits, it's going to take a while for them to become like ingrained in your system, as like things that you automatically do. So you have to do it and do it over again until it becomes like your like standard program. And so at first it's going to be really uncomfortable, and I'm noticing like I often have difficulties moving from this discomfort, like moving from my comfort zone. That's basically like the comfort zone that you're in, and then going out of it, and then it becomes your new comfort zone. So like if I start weaving these grass hats, do you call it weaving? At some point I will do it so well that it could be my job, you know, if it's something that I'm passionate to learn. And basically, yeah, it's like you can literally create anything. And I think that's opens up just so many possibilities, and I think it can be super simple. Like I don't think you have to learn how to do this, or your own cosmetics, or your clothing. And thinking about it, it makes me feel overwhelmed as well. Like if I think about, okay, now I have to, or if I want to make a dress, I'm like, where do I start? But if it's something that I really want to learn, there's always people, like nowadays it's so easy also to learn these things. And I think that we are like conditioned to stay in consumerism, so we don't have energy to do these things. Like our whole, like, if you can say society, but our whole like system is based on this, and it profits off consuming. I mean, even YouTube, even like if you watch this video, you're consuming content. So it's kind of a contradiction, me saying like, I'm not saying like stop consuming content or stop consuming everything, because that's like obviously not possible. But I wonder if we can find a balance between consuming and creating, and that's something that I really want to try, because I'm just noticing the difference, how I feel, and I'm curious. Honestly, I'm really curious. So, and taking this step is not always comfortable, because my standard programs can kick in, and then I just start consuming something. And I don't like restricting myself either that much, because I don't want it to become something like you should do this, you shouldn't do this. And that also doesn't feel pleasurable, to constantly restrict myself. But at the same time, if I think about using my time to create instead of consume, a part of me knows that I just won't regret it. Like if I delete Instagram for a while, I don't think I'll really regret it. And if I stop watching YouTube, or not as much, or if I stopped even listening to Spotify, I think or listening to music in that sense, I think at some point I wouldn't even regret it anymore, and I'd create more music, and I'd create more videos instead of watching them, and I would just start creating more things, more anything that happens in the moment. I just open myself to the flow more than watching other people do it and wishing I was there, And I don't know, that was something that I was thinking about today. Also, I feel there's so much noise everywhere that coming back to yourself and opening yourself up for a creative channel is basically just being with yourself and being in silence. And when you fill your mind up and your space with all this noise, there's no room. Like, you cannot hear the little callings and the soft voice of your intuition and your inspiration. And the more you follow those little inspirations, even if it's just like, I want to dance, or I want to take a shower, like, it can be like really simple things. I think the more you take a step and follow these little small callings throughout the day, new things open up. Like, I thought it was interesting recently, I experienced today where these little callings came in form of people, actually, where I was walking the hall, and then one of the women here came out of her room and was like, oh, are you going to the pool? And I was like, no, I actually wanted to like go in my room. And then she was like, you should go to the pool, you feel really good afterwards. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to the pool. And then I went to the pool and it was amazing. And then later in my room, a friend of mine sent me a song and like told me like, listen to this with headphones. And I was like, okay. And then I just started dancing to it, and it was like awesome, because I could have also been, I'll listen later and watch my YouTube video or whatever. And then later there was another woman who said like, hey, why won't you sing for us? Like, or when are you gonna sing for us? And then I was just like, tonight. And just later I was like, oh, why did I say that? Like, now I have to like actually do it. And then in the night I did like approach it, and it was beautiful. It was an experience that I actually really wanted and really longed for, and to share my music in person with other people. And if she hadn't have like nudged me, I don't think I would have come up with that, or like on my own. So I feel like these little voices, these little callings can also come in form of other people, or even, I don't know, even sometimes I went on Instagram and opened it up, and then there was a post about like, don't go on Instagram, like like, I don't know, you know, these people who post things about stop scrolling, go live your life. I was like, thank you, I needed that. Like, I don't know, sometimes these little things, I like to think that it's the universe communicating through people and things, but in the end, you can call it whatever you want. Yeah, so, and it's also like showing up constantly. Like, if I consciously make the shift, then I also need to show up to what I'm saying, to my word, and to hold this promise to myself. And recently I heard in a podcast someone talk about discipline, and how the word discipline actually holds a lot of, how do you say, like, a lot of people are a bit triggered by the word discipline, and I realized me too. And I think he mentioned like, it's not really like, he would use the word devotion instead of discipline, and I really like that, because it's like, devotion seems, like you're devoting your time to something, you're devoting your love, your care to your body, or to your craft, to yourself, the way you live. And I think that's really how you feel your power again and your confidence, when you start actively creating your life and trying new things. And that's how you gain confidence. And at first it can feel a bit off or awkward and can feel embarrassed, and because everything is so new, it might not feel comfortable, but I do believe that you can grow into it, and I'm telling this all to myself. This video is basically for myself and for whoever needs to hear it. That it's really worth it to go through that discomfort, and that being a creator is your nature, and being a creator is your purpose, creating in whichever way. And it's our human nature. It's literally what we do. Like in every moment, right? We create a moment, we create life, or we have the possibility to create life, and we create situations. Like, it's in your nature. So we are all like artists and creators in different ways, and I'm pretty sure that there's a bunch of videos about this topic, and I just feel like adding to it, I guess. And I think that these things click for everyone in different time. I've watched so many people talk about this, actually, and I realized, but it's only clicking really now in this moment, and that's fine. That's the thing. I feel like like people with their words, they can reflect things for us, and something can click. But it takes time to integrate. It has to come from ourselves, and then we're like, ah. So me speaking this to you can remember you of something, but in the end, I think if it comes from yourself, that's the moment when it's like, oh, okay. And it will come in your own words, and something else could also come up from this. You could also completely disagree with me, and something else could come up, and maybe that's important too. So it's like, I think it's nice how we can all kind of remember each other and remind each other. And I had a moment where I listened to a podcast today, and she really reminded me of a part in myself, and that really stuck with me today. So I thought of returning the favor, whoever watches this, and just maybe reminded by something, if it resonates with you. So thank you for listening. I'm not sure if this is a podcast or just a random video speaking, but I'd love to share more on this channel in any kind of form, if it's through music or just sharing my thoughts. I'll see what comes out when I surrender to my own creative energy, creative